telescopic. Every letter is a point of view. The letter is not just an object. So from each letter's point of view, what does each of these letters mean? That's this whole top section. But I also contend that the alphabet is the identity of Mashiach. In other words, if you know what the letters mean, they identify who he is. These two columns right through here basically describe that. But the key to the whole alphabet is this thing that I call the Mishkan pattern, which is this right here. These little things down here are little glyphic pictures to show you what the letters mean. Some of them are each individual letters, and some of them are two letters combined. And then this group down here, another thing that I found was that this is Exodus 20, Jeremiah 31, and Daniel chapter 12. So the bottom line here is Daniel chapter 12, which I'll go through in a minute. But what I found is that, like teeth on a sprocket, one follows the next, follows the next, follows the next, follows the next. Some passages of Scripture are written in such a way that if you know the concepts of what the letters mean, you can see that it follows in a perfect sequence, click, 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 Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zeh, as does Daniel chapter 12, which I'm going to suggest is a key to unlocking what Daniel hid. And it's key to the Mishkan pattern and in this particular sequence. So all this stuff is what I did to try to help anybody who's interested in wanting to know what Paleo Hebrew means. And then the rest of the equation is say, well, why should we? But that's more of a discussion. That's what you just said. So, thank you. So I had brought these with me when I was over there in Sacramento and Sonora, and I can only bring the file because my hands were full. But it's on the PDF file. If there's some friends that printed off the PDF file over at Staples or Kinko's, and it was like a $50 to print one. You know, if you want to have it on the PDF file, you're welcome to have it. I'm just trying to give people my studies for what it's worth. Last year, some people, after I started studying this when I got kicked out of the thing in 2004. I've been studying this fanatically, obsessively ever since. I'll tell you what I found. Last year, some people were saying, you should teach us these things. You should give this class. This is like a college course. You should teach us these letters. And so I said, okay, tell you what. Colleges charge so much money these days for tuition. Students in England last year were saying, you guys raise the tuition so high we can't go to university. What are we supposed to do? You're making understanding and education impossible. So it's like, tell you what, let's have a free college. If anybody wants it, they can have it. Yeah. So last year, 2011, in Salem, we rented a room. It was under the auspices of Fishing for Soul, which is a kind of a ministry headliner that a friend set up. And I gave a class, an introduction class, 22 letters, and then interspersed the 22 letters, like a Zion means to be cut off, and a Chet is a fence. Well, there's like a stop. So it's like, okay, we'll have a Selah in between the two. So 7 letters, and then a week of a stop, a Selah, where I tried to describe how to use Red Dictionary. And then we picked up the next letters. Well, there's according to the Mishkan pattern, between the laver and the menorah, or the inside place, the Kadosh place, is a veil. So we had another stop between the Nun and the Summit. And then there's another veil between the altar of incense and the Ark of the Testimony. So that's between the Pei and the Zadi. So we did another Selah, 3 Selahs, and then at the end I did a couple more. So there's basically 28 classes, each one 2 hours long, and that's on this video set. Now, what I said during the class, and I'm just trying to explain where I'm at with this, just so you know. It was live, you could have free to hear it. It was live streaming for free, so anybody in the world, people were waking up in Ireland to watch it at 3 in the morning. And my intention was to have it free on the internet for everybody to watch. I don't want to call any names, I don't want to cause any trouble, but somebody grabbed a hold of it and says, okay, we're just going to sell it. I said, okay, listen, if somebody wants to donate a few $100s to the ministry, we'll give them a copy of the things, because they cost a couple $100s to make a set of these, like, almost 60 DVDs. It costs, you know, and so sell them for a few $100s more, and that way, you know, people can contribute to the continuing studies. But I wanted them to be for free for everybody, anywhere in the world, at any time. So the Hebrew Nation radio station does have them for sale, but they cost $350. Somebody was charging $500 for them, and it's like, it's still too much. But it costs to produce them, and the videographer needs to get paid, and he's done all this editing work. But some other people have put them up on YouTube, or are going to put them up on YouTube. I also, which I said was absolutely okay, you can film it, anybody can watch it, anybody can duplicate it, don't sell it. Anybody can duplicate it, but don't sell it. Now, That being said, I also first presented this information in 2006, then again in 2009. I know that the one in 2009 is finally up on YouTube. There's somebody at the other city just said they watched it. It's broken up into like 18 sections of 10. But it's hard to see because they're all broken up. And I don't even have a computer to watch this stuff on. Somebody gave us an iPad, so I'm just getting kind of up into the, But I've done all this research by pen and paper because I think to understand the archaic, you should go back and walk in the path of the archaic. I was trying to stay away from the computer completely. This isn't copying Benner's work or Seekin's work or anybody else. It's referencing the same style. But just so you know, I don't have anything to sell for you here. What I've got is my research. And what I've got is the fact that I gave this class, and if anybody wants the benefit of the class, you can go to YouTube, you can buy this thing from Hebrew Nation Radio. Hebrew Nation Radio was going to also start a TV station where at 6 o'clock from Sunday to Thursday, they'd start showing the class. But then you can only watch what's being programmed, and the idea was to have it up there where anybody can watch it. If you look for it, you might be able to find it because other people might start putting these things up, hopefully. Now there's a reason why I'm saying this. There's a reason why I'm saying I'd like this information to get out. Because what I think is that Daniel was told to hide the words and seal the book until the time of Kuf Zadi. Kuf Zadi are two letters. You don't know what you mean. You read Strong's Concordance, it says, well, it means the end. Okay, hide the word and seal the book until the time of the end. Why the end? It's the end. It'll do nobody any good if it's the end. Hide the word and seal the book, and then all of a sudden we find the secret and go, ha ha, see? Proof. Too bad, see you later. It's like, is there something in Daniel that's worth our attention or not? This is what Het Tav Mem means according to this dictionary. Oh, one qualification. In modern Hebrew, there's vowel points. Under the word, there's dots and lines, which are the vowels. There's no vowels in Hebrew per se, even though a yod and a vav can be used as vowels, kind of, sort of, as can an aleph. They're technically all consonants. Aleph is actually a silent letter. No sound. The consonants in modern Hebrew were put in by the Masoretic scribes during the Middle Ages. Paleo has no reference of consonants. Well, it was handed down by the oral tradition, which is why the Masoretic scribes finally put them on there, because people were maybe losing and tripping over their old tradition, and they tried to lock it in. If you go to this dictionary, you might find one word spelled one way 10 different times, and each 10 different times varies because of the vowel points. But what I'm doing is saying, if there were no vowel points, I don't know what's going on with them. I'm not even going to worry about that. So I'm trying to teach Hebrew as an illiterate mechanism. Not a literate, grammatically correct mechanism, but for illiterates to read. Illiterates read by looking at pictures. So I'm going to show you how to read Hebrew from looking at the pictures, and if the literate people say, that's bogus, that's not true, then it's like, according to the literate people, this is bogus and not true. But I'll show you some fascinating things that work. Now, I don't know how much time we have or how much I can show you, but you can go to the website and I can show you other things I've written and I can prove this whole thing. And I would challenge anybody in the world to look at this stuff and prove it wrong. I mean, I'm pretty confident of this. Anyway, Het Tav Mem. Signed, sealed, closed, shut up, stopped. But it's also as one who is induced to subscribe to a newspaper or a periodical, which means for a certain amount of time, you're locked in. It also is a person authorized to seal or sign documents like an underwriter. Now that's Het Tav Mem. Affixed his signature, concluded or finished. Samek Tav Mem. This is what he did to the words. To stop up, close, express oneself vaguely. Stopper. It also means vague or indefinite expression, anonymous opinion, in general, literally something stopped up or something closed. And then a related word, if you go to Samek Tav Resh, the difference is a mem and a resh. Samek Tav Resh means to hide, to conceal, hidden carefully, to pull down, destroy, refute, contradict, undone, covering over, hiding place, secret and secrecy, shelter and protection. What I think Daniel did was change the letters from the Paleo to the modern and so accomplish the task that he was given. Now I'll show you a little proof of it. Now if you know what the letters mean, I can run through this quickly. If you don't know what the letters mean, you'll have to kind of figure as I'm going. Aleph is a plan. Tav is the accomplishment of the plan. The proof of it, I'm going to try to go kind of briefly here, but the proof of it, there's a verse where Yahweh says, in Isaiah concerning what he's going to do to the Assyrians, he says, as I have planned, so it shall be. As I have purposed, so it shall come about. Another place he says, the word that comes out of my mouth, it will not return to me void, it will accomplish whatsoever I put it forth to do. Okay. And as I've been studying the letters, I realized that's Aleph and Tav. And when Yeshua shows up in the book of Revelation, he says, I'm the beginning, the end, the Alpha and Omega. He wasn't speaking Greek or English, he was speaking Hebrew to a Hebrew, and in Hebrew it would have been Aleph and Tav. There's one word never translated in the scriptures. Do you know that word? Does anybody not know what that is? Et, Aleph and Tav. Bereshit, bara, Elohim, et. Genesis 1:1. Et Hashemayim va et ha'aretz. They say, well, it's a direct object. It points to the subject of the verse. That's the best they can come up with. But it's never translated. Well, it's kind of like having quotation marks in English. Those are never translated. We know what they mean. So whenever you see Aleph and Tav, it's not translated, but they don't know why. Sometimes the Aleph Tav is hyphenated to a word, like a hyphenated letter. Sometimes it's et, and then a word like et ha'aret, but sometimes it stands alone like et Hashemayim is not hyphenated, and they just don't know what's there. The speculation is that when Yeshua walked up, or standing there, and says, I am the Aleph and Tav, you say, I'm that guy. Well, if you think, oh, here's the mystical Aleph Tav, the beginning and the end, the first and the last, that's about as far as you can go with it. It's mystical. It's interesting. It's the first and the last. He's the guy that started, and he's the guy that's going to end it. But then all of a sudden, if you see this level that says, as I have planned, so it shall be. As I have purposed, so shall it come about. Do you know who built this building? The architect is invisible and silent. All you can see is the manifestation of what he made. The letter Aleph represents the invisible, silent architect, author, artist, a letter, administrator. The letter Bet means house, and it means in, with, among, through, and it's the material manifestation of the cosmos. It's a body, a building. Those start with the letter B, Bet, bone. Bet, nun, he, bana, literally means to build, to construct. Gimel is the letter with a foot. It means to put something in motion, like a verb. So Bet is like a noun concept. Aleph is the